Coming up next on the Voice of Alabama Politics, more book banning. Also, the Cannabis Commission wants a do-over. And was there a stolen election in Alabama?
Stop the steal! Stop the steal! Stop the steal! Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
No boy. All this and much, much more coming up next on The Beat. Welcome to the Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Boone, investigative reporter and columnist at APR. Welcome.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, guys.
Josh.
Yes, sir.
I hate to put it this way, but you got another head on your wall. You bagged another big one.
Yeah.
Republican lawmaker David Cole was arrested last week on felony voter fraud. And this is a result of Josh's reporting that Cole did not live in the district. He lied about where he lived, stayed adamant about lying, but you stayed on it, you reported on it, you showed that he did not live in the district, and it went through the court system, and finally, Attorney General Steve Marshall actually did something. He arrested David Cole for voter fraud.
Yeah,
Josh, the floor is yours.
Well, listen, I hate to put it that way, as because there's no real, I don't know, there's not really a sense of pride or anything that somebody got arrested and went to jail, and it was, and it's, really David Cole's is the one who did this,
That's
and
right.
because I just kind of wrote the facts, and really, like, I wrote a long piece about how this kind of came about. It was pretty easy to do, honestly, and it was pretty obvious to everybody except for apparently the Alabama Republican Party, which heard the same facts that I did. But yeah, listen, he's living out of district. He continues to live out of district. He never moved from his house in District 4 into District 10, where he ran for office. And it's just to me, it was just kind of the height of arrogance to continue to do this and throw it in everybody's face while he took a seat in the legislature that should have belonged to someone else.
That's right. Susan, I mean, Josh is right. Several people missed this process.
They did.
They could have stopped it. Josh's reporting was in October. The election was not until November.
Correct.
We know the people that could have stopped this read our reporting. We know that. And they did absolutely nothing.
Yes, it was incumbent upon the Republican Party to check this out, especially since we brought it up and on it. They're supposed to check this out to start with,
That's
but Josh has brought it up, and so they certainly should have looked at it. Then it was certified by the Secretary of State, who also should have investigated this and didn't do it. What the two of them did was dump it on the legislature.
Yeah, and Josh, this came after there was a lawsuit filed by the Libertarian Party candidate who said he was wronged by this. And Barry Ragsdale represented him. Barry did a great job. Al Agricola represented David Cole. He did not have the facts on his side. And when they got him into deposition, and this thing went all the way to Supreme Court of Alabama. When they got him under deposition, Josh, what did he know about the house that he was supposedly living in?
Nothing. He never moved there. I mean, he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know anything about the square footage or how many bedrooms there were. He said at one point the agreement that he had for this supposed house that he house he leased from a family friend, the agreement was for 0 bedrooms and 0 bathrooms. It was just space. He was renting space from this. And I mean, I should say too that this way back in February, before I reported on in October, Anson Knowles, who was a Republican, who was running on the Republican ticket at that time, he filed a challenge with the Alabama Republican Party. and
he
said,
did.
listen, this is a part of this is, he doesn't live, this guy doesn't live here. Okay. He doesn't live in this and, in this district. And their response was to throw Knowles off the ballot. It's just,
No.
and this is where the problem comes in is, you can scream about election integrity and stomping out voter fraud. But these are the situations that pop up most often. It's not somebody stealing an identity to vote somewhere.
Right.
It's situations like this right here, and absentee ballot theft and things of that nature. These are the opportunities to stop voter fraud and to ensure election integrity.
And it's right to point out that this was historic. This, as far as we know, there has never been an occasion where this went before the legislature. This was something that was uncovered in the process, and as Barry Ragsdale pointed out, it was unprecedented, and it was you really had to look to say, okay, it goes to the legislature. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for the legislature at all, but they did not get the final report on this thing until after session was over. And some people have made a big deal of Speaker of the House, Nathaniel Ledbetter, not doing more about it because he sent out a thing, he sent out a press release that said, we take election integrity very seriously. He did not try to shy away from it. He's the only one in the Republican Party who has come out and condemned what happened. He's the only one. The only one. Nobody else has done it. Nothing from John Wall, nothing from any of the other leadership in the party has come out and said anything. But they ran out of time there. They didn't get it. And then when they got it, Susan, they were in special session.
To deal with redistricting of all things, how in the world are you going to stop? And it's in the law that when the governor calls a special session, it is for a certain subject.
Yeah.
That subject was redistricting, and they only had 7 days to get it done. There's no way they could pause that and have enough time to go through this kind of basically impeachment hearing in that 7 days and get their job done as well.
And Josh, we won't sugarcoat it. I think Nathaniel Ledbetter does not deserve criticism. But what I'd say is this: I would bet money that there wasn't a Republican or a Democrat who actually wanted to go in and do the deal. Maybe there were. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Here's where I would. The question I would raise is if David Cole had run for this seat and been seated as a Democrat, what would have happened? And,
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know the answer. But what I do know is Tommy Tuberville doesn't live in the district.
No, he doesn't. In any of our districts. He doesn't live in any of our districts. Yeah.
In our district. Maybe the feds will take a look at where Tommy Tuberville actually lives and do something about him.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. I'm not going to hold my breath. All right. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
As a paramedic, you wouldn't believe the things that we've seen.
I've seen all types of horrible things.
I mean, we're there basically picking up the pieces from your worst day.
Everyone is just driving and not paying attention.
We all have the same goal. All of us want to go home alive and safe and harm nobody else in the process.
Slow down. Be careful. Care about the other people on the road. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Today, Montgomery is a safer city. It's time to shift the narrative and take control of our future. We're reopening community centers, remediating blight, and revitalizing neighborhoods across the city. And we're unleashing new opportunities. Over the past year, companies have invested a record-setting $2 billion in Montgomery and created 2,000 jobs. This is a new Montgomery. And together, we're reimagining the possibilities.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Book burnings, book bannings. We just don't want books. The Ozark mayor has called on the county commission to defund the Dale County Public Library because they have books there that he doesn't like. Now, he hasn't read any of them, Susan, but he's sure he doesn't like them. And he wants them to be removed, and he wants to defund, and if they're not removed, he wants to defund the library.
Right. What it is some of his constituents have come to him, and he's compiled this list of 61 books that he doesn't want to move out of the young adult section. He wants to pull from the library altogether, and he's threatening the board with actually defunding the public library. Now, he said he's got the city council's backing on this, but from my understanding, he does not.
Well, two of them have said they're not standing with him, and the other, one of the other ones has said, yeah. But Josh, the funny thing was they had a 4-hour library meeting over this. They also had text messages from the mayor to the council member and other people. One was a message from Mayor Blankenship, that's his name, to one of the people that's on the library board and to the head of the library, in which he wants these books removed. How does he get them removed? And one of the women who was on the board with them, on the library board, said she would bring the matches. So when they say they don't want to burn books, they just, I think that made it pretty clear. They want to burn books.
Yeah, I can't help but notice that all of the people that are on the side of the book burning deal in this are really stupid. And it would probably help them out a whole lot if they would read some of the books that they're trying to burn or trying to remove anyway. I honestly, we asked the guy what he wanted to do or why he wanted to do this, or if he even knew what the books were about. And his best answer was he knew the gist of them, which, gives me the gist of who he is. It's nonsense. It's people who have a narrow worldview, and they want everyone else to conform to their worldview, and they want everything that it doesn't fit inside that worldview pressed out. They want to get rid of it. They want to burn it. They want to toss it aside and make sure it's never heard from, because it might disrupt the way they think about things. And that's not the purpose of the library. It has never been the purpose of the library. That's not the purpose of education, and that has never been the purpose of education. It is to broaden your horizons and help you become a more well-rounded person. And until we can get to that mindset and elect people that do that, we're going to continue to have the idiot brigade that pops up all the time doing nonsense like this.
Well, in fact, when this all started back at the Prattville Library, a few months ago, your reporter Jacob Holmes went and checked out some 40 books and read all the books and made notes and did a report on it, to which he came to the conclusion that these books were no more racy than a PG-13 movie.
Right.
Yes, there's some raciness, but if it's on a movie screen, I guess it's different than if it's in a book.
And again, PG-13 is parental guidance.
Yeah.
If you're a parent, you're supposed to guide your children about what they should and shouldn't read. That's up to you. Other parents may disagree with your opinion. And the other thing is they made much to do about it being LGBTQ material, and there is LGBTQ material there. Mm-hmm. There's also the ones that had the graphic sex that were PG-13 were not LGBTQ. There is one on pronouns that had like one sentence, right, Josh? You wrote about that. But this is what I call moral panic for those who don't like everybody else's morals, but they want to force their own morals.
Come to find out, the person that sent Blankenship the list doesn't even have a library card.
Well, and Blankenship, this was my favorite one. Blankenship said that he was against having the LGBTQ books in the library. But when pressed on it, he said, well, he has a lesbian friend who happens to be his pickleball partner. So we were thinking maybe he should get a t-shirt that says, my pickleball partner is a lesbian.
Yeah, I would save him a lot of trouble. It's just stupid. This whole thing is so ridiculous and absurd. And the idea that you can label books LGBTQ or whatever, and all of a sudden they become risque for teenagers. What do you think is happening in your kids' school? Who do you think that they're friends with?
Yeah.
My understanding is they actually have stickers they put on the books that all say LBGTQ.
That's to alert people that they have content that. But anyway, I mean, it's a library book. Don't read it. But you know, historians agree, basically agree, that the first book that was ever banned nationally in the United States, or pretty much nationally in the United States, was Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Sounds familiar.
Because it did two things. It had an abolitionist point of view, and it began a discussion about slavery.
Yep.
Because they didn't want people, especially in the South, discussing slavery.
Yep.
And that's what these people don't want. They don't want you to discuss something that might be uncomfortable.
No, they don't. What they don't want is that they don't want you to understand these people who they vilify. All right, because if you come to understand these people that they vilified, then they can no longer vilify them. When you come to understand that these are just people trying to live their lives, and they're good and decent people just the same as you, who happen to live a slightly different way than you do, then you can no longer vilify that person. And that's the problem that you have. And I got to say, if you want to ban some books because there's risque material in them, how about we start with the Bible?
No, don't.
I think a governor tried that one already.
It had a lot. It's very risque. I mean, you very risque.
I guarantee you, there's nothing in those books you want to
there.
ban that's worse than what's in the Bible.
Yeah, that's true. That Leviticus thing's got a whole lot of stuff in it. But anyway, there's a bunch of crazy stuff in books. We don't ban books in the United States because we believe in freedom of thought. Mm-hmm. But there are people that see the world changing, and they don't like it.
And there is a process for complaining and getting a book removed. They need to go through the process instead of doing all of this grandstanding.
Well, you know, they came after Democrats for defunding the police, and that's not exactly what they meant. But now we're defunding libraries. Okay, we're gonna have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Well, the Cannabis Commission, not the commission, but the lawyers for the Cannabis Commission and folks got around and rolled a few joints and had a good meeting and decided, Josh, that they were going to go back to square one. But that was just, I mean, hey man, we got it wrong twice. We can do it better. Josh, it was a fiasco to get there, right?
Oh, it was, yes. I mean, so basically we're going to have our second redo of this, and I guess maybe this is actually the first official complete redo, because we're going to apparently start at the very beginning.
Who knows?
Yeah, but honestly, yeah, you're right. Who does know? Who does know what they're actually going to do or not do? But yes, at a hearing on Monday, and boy, my days are running together this week. But at a hearing on Monday, they came together and determined that they were going to continue with the restraining order. They were going to put a hold on the licenses that they have awarded but not yet issued again. This is the second time we've awarded but not issued licenses. So we're going to wait now, and now we're just going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to start this thing all the way over and give everybody a fair shake and stop all the nonsense.
Susan, I mean, the biggest problem that we have been told by those involved in the process is the two attorneys that are there, and there's one other person, I can't remember who it is, that's down there that they've got a problem with. But, you know, they brought in Mark Wilkerson, who has experience with licensing healthcare facilities. There's a board in Alabama that does that called the Certificate of Need Board. And he worked on that board for 25 years as a lawyer and has certified these healthcare facilities. It's very much, if not almost identical to the cannabis process. They brought him in, but they've still kept on these other Jason A. Day and William Webster, who everybody says needs to be fired.
Well, William Webster got into an argument with Judge Anderson in Judge Anderson's courtroom.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not a good idea. But apparently, I mean, I know I love John McMillan to death, and he doesn't like to fire anybody, and I get that. But hopefully, from our understanding of Mark Wilkerson, he's very level-headed. He's very transparent in what he does, and hopefully, maybe with his experience, he can start to get a handle on this commission and start getting them in the right direction here.
Josh, when you were at the hearing last Monday, every prominent lawyer in Montgomery was present there. It was like old home week for you. You knew everybody.
Yeah, it was like honestly, it was like the old bingo trials, you know, and in federal court and in state court as well. But yeah, no, there were a ton of people there, which I guess kind of speaks to, you know, the amount of money that's involved in this, and you know, and that's a troubling aspect of this to me, is that, you know, we know that there's a ton of money involved in this. We know that there's a significant need for this product for people who are suffering in this.
Right.
And yet, have you heard any politician really get themselves deeply involved in this and really try to drill down and take control of this process and say, hey, this is embarrassing, guys. Let's handle this and get this thing taken care of. We've covered it better than anybody, and we've not gotten a phone call from any politician, any elected official really that's involved here. They've just taken a complete hands-off approach to this, and it's really kind of troubling.
Well, and Susan, you know, the legislature passed this. Governor Ivey signed it into law based on the fact that it would help people.
Right.
Now we've turned the corner. But I know John McMillan is wanting to do this for all the right reasons. Governor Kay Ivey was asked about it this past week, and she said she stands behind the commissioners and John McMillan.
She does, and I think she's going to start, from my understanding, she wants to start a little more active participation in this, simply because it's so out of control, and try to help John here in getting it back under control and guide it in the right direction, and I hope she does that.
Well, I think, Josh, you're right, and part of the problem, they don't understand. The legislature does not, for the most part, understand what is really going on, and it's such a mess that where's the profit in sticking their head in it? The other thing is, I'm afraid if we get the legislature back involved with this new bunch, it could go even further awry. But
it could end up going back to the legislature again, and heaven knows we don't want to go back that far.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but at the same time, you know, it seems as though, you know, because this commission that we've got was appointed largely by lawmakers, and you would think that at some point somebody would say, "Listen, this is not. We don't have a person on here that's really taking control of this, and we obviously have a complicated process that we're not running very well, and we need to get somebody in there who really understands what the hell's going on with this, and we don't have that person on that commission at this point."
And what I've heard behind the scenes from folks that talk to the commissioners and are involved in this on a very high level is that the commissioners have complained that they've been kept in the dark. We know that Lori Skelton, who is a lawyer, has complained publicly that they have kept them in the dark and kept them from doing their job. Well, there's a real simple solution. When people keep you in the dark and don't tell you stuff or lie to you, and they work for you,
Fire them.
Fire them.
They being the lawyers in this case.
Yeah. I mean, if I've got an employee that's keeping me in the dark on important issues or not telling me the truth on important issues, there's only one solution. You just get rid of them.
Yeah. That person, that's a gots to go situation, as they say. I mean, that's a gots to go situation. And you're right. And it just, this whole thing has been so screwed up, and I wrote about kind of the process that even led to the hearing on Monday and how the negotiations broke down over the weekend with the attorneys. And, it's so ludicrous. This whole thing has been so ludicrous from the start that these little petty fights and these little petty differences at times have just blown up all sorts of progress that could have been made and have kept people who do know what the hell they're doing out of the loop on this thing. And it's really a shame.
It's also, to my understanding of what I've overheard and people I've talked to, Webster and Ada can go into a situation in court or into any kind of negotiations and get paddled and then come back and send an email out to all the commissioners going, oh, we had a great job there on our side. We're doing it. Everything's good. They're saying we're really good lawyers in this, and they're not.
Listen, that's a commissioner's fault, okay? They got to pay better attention. They've got to pay better attention to what's going on and take control of that commission in this process.
And that is what has to happen, and that's what we're being told is going to happen. Because I tell you, this could be a 10-year project, and nobody will ever get help. And that's what
as Judge Anderson said, Mississippi passed their law 6 months after we did, and they're about to start issuing prescriptions in January. And at this point, we can no longer even say, thank God for Mississippi.
No, we cannot, but we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.